deal gone wrong. We find the chaos, make it loud, and turn it to a song. From the boardroom to the feed, nothing escapes the light. The Bozo Report is here, and we're going all night. The Bozo Report, we live on the floor, hear us roar. The Bozo Report, let's go. Business buzz and so much more. Bozo's in the headlines every day. We break it down, we make you say. The Bozo Report is on the way. The Bozo Report. The Bozo Report. Let's go.
What up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Bozo Report. I'm your host, the guy with no name, and today I have some big time news that I want to get into. So the first story I have for you guys today is that Ferrari revealed their first fully electric vehicle. It is called the Ferrari Luce, Luce. I hope I pronounced that right. I haven't taken Italian in God knows how many years at this point, but apparently I didn't know this, but Luce translates to light, but it might as well be called dark because the company is in the dark ages right now. I mean, Ferrari, what are you doing? Didn't you see what happened to Porsche and their EBITDA and what happened there? Porsche's EBITDA is down 99% since they decided to focus on the Taycan, which is their version of a four-door fully electric car. It is crazy. After Ferrari unveiled this car, and by the way, Ferrari is publicly traded to people who don't know, it might have the best ticker ever. It's race. I mean, that is a great ticker. Let's not beat around the bush here, but on Tuesday morning, the stock opened down 5%. And people on Twitter are just roasting Ferrari endlessly. It is so funny. Someone had a viral tweet that went up where they compared the Tesla Model S Plaid to the Ferrari Luce. So the Tesla Model S Plaid is 1,020 horsepower, so 35 less horsepower, $109,990, right? So effectively 20% of the price of the Ferrari Luce, 0 to 60 in 1.99 seconds versus 2.4 for the Ferrari. 0 to 124 miles per hour in 6.2 compared to 6.8, 200 mile per hour top speed, and 368 mile range compared to 280. So you're talking about a car that is 20% of the price, better 0 to 60, better 0 to 120, better top speed, and better range. Ooh, they just got cooked. They got cooked by Elon. That's crazy. People do not want these fucking cars. Ferrari had two hybrid models that they put out within the last couple of years. I don't remember the names of those specific models, but you guys can look this up if you want. The depreciation on these cars is so immense. No one wants these fucking hybrid cars. It's crazy. So, especially for Ferrari. I mean, you're buying a Ferrari, you want to hear the sound of the engine. You want to hear, you want to feel the torque. It's a different experience when you have a gasoline-powered car versus an electric car. Like, let's just call it what it is. And also, the technology for charging on electric cars is not there yet. You're really going to wait half an hour to charge your car versus, like, pull up at a gas station and fill up in, like, 5 minutes, if that. Come on. It's a completely different experience. It's super inconvenient to own an electric car. And then you factor in that they're burning coal to generate electricity so you could charge your car. It just seems like a Rube Goldberg to me. So overall, the stock is down more than 32% over the last 12 months. The Ferrari CEO, Benedetto Vigna, described the launch of the Luce model as a very, very important day for the company, one that symbolizes the opening of a quote-unquote new chapter in its history. So Lamborghini CEO Stephen Winkelmann told CNBC the automaker's decision to kill its all-electric vehicle plans to focus on plug-in hybrid electric vehicles was the right way to go for the company. His comments come after Ferrari this week faced harsh criticism and investor backlash against its first all-electric vehicle, the Luce. Winkelmann said every brand, every company has to decide for themselves, but ultimately Lamborghini made the right choice. And I agree with him 1,000%. I mean, when you buy these highly sought after sports cars that are luxurious and you care about performance. And they're really to some degree, these supercars, they're really designed as track cars. Dude, when you hear these things start up and you rev them, I mean, it is awesome. If it doesn't put a smile on your face, you're not a human being. Analysts covering Ferrari stock said that the reaction was partially due to design hate, which, to be honest with you, it's very blocky looking for a car that is a Ferrari. It really, if you guys don't know, look up Polestar, Polestar. It reminds me of that. Polestar is like this spin-off electric vehicle brand that Volvo came out with. I don't even know if it's still around, but if you look up the Ferrari Luce and you compare it to the Polestar from 2021, they're fucking identical. It is ridiculous. Whoever they hired as the designer probably designed the Polestar. I mean, it's like spot on. It's very blocky looking. It looks disgusting. It does not look good whatsoever.
Do we need an electric Ferrari, Robert?
Well, we're going to see, Sarah. It's going to be the big question because it is called the Luce. It is the first all-electric Ferrari, and the numbers, well, at least they're impressive. 1,035 horsepower from 4 electric motors, 0 to 60 in 2.5 seconds, 5 seats, and a starting price, get ready for it, $640,000. That's the starting price. But the design, well, as one analyst said, the market has spoken. Ferrari shares down about 4.5% on concerns that the Luce will cheapen the brand and add significant costs that will be hard to recover. Ferrari CEO Benedetto Vigna telling CNBC that the Ferrari looks different because EVs are different.
When you have a new technology, you need to make sure that that technology is properly represented in the design. So the design must be different. You have to respect the different needs, the different wishes of the clients. So we will have clients, already existing client that will take it, and some clients that are not client today, some people that will not client today that will get in our community.
And it certainly is different. The Luce was designed with Johnny Ive, he, of course, being the former Apple design chief. And much like the iPhone, the Luce's body is made partly from Corning glass. And guys, a lot of people are concerned about that Ferrari engine sound that made Ferrari famous, where they're going to do it through an electronic amplification system that takes the noise from the rear axle, amplifies it outside as well as in the cabin. And Sarah, as you said, we're just going to see how many people buy the new Luce. Guys?
Yeah, it's a big debate this morning about whether the price action is a comment on the aesthetics of the car, Robert, or if it's a comment on sort of, you know, they began developing this at a time where maybe the music was different on EVs, and it is a lot to develop a new car, all the R&D and money that goes into that.
Absolutely, Carl. The music is different. You've got Lamborghini canceling its EV plans, Aston Martin, McLaren postponing them. So at least in the high-performance sports car world, there doesn't seem to be demand. Ferrari betting that theirs is going to be different.
I think Ferrari is just being arrogant, and they're going to find out the hard way because the market has spoken. No one wants this car. It looks like shit. Stock's down. I mean, if people were bullish on it, the stock would be ripping, right? And there would be a ton of demand. So we'll see what happens. But I think this is a big fuck up on Ferrari's part. And I think they're going to unfortunately learn the hard way. All right. So another story I want to get into with you guys is about Bolt Financial. So if you aren't familiar with the story of Bolt Financial, at one point they had a unicorn valuation. And in 2022, their peak valuation was $11 billion, and it dropped down to $300 million. So in the 2023 fiscal year, they generated just $27 million in revenue while losing $310 million for the fiscal year, right? The company did multiple rounds of layoffs. They were firing people left and right. The valuation from its peak in 2022 is down 97%. Investors were running for the exit, obviously. And for companies, when they raise, the valuation should typically go up each time. You never want to see it take a step back, because then what happens is investors are getting screwed. The people that, you know, got in early or got in, you know, in Series B or Series C, anything like that. But basically, this company went through massive restructuring and multiple rounds of layoffs to the point where they cut 30% of their workforce. They were pushing AI efficiency. They have to reduce their cash burn. They're not profitable. They got rid of the 4-day work week policy that they had, which they never should have had a 4-day work week. That's insane. For a company that's not profitable, that's insane. I mean, the idea is you give people equity, but you guys have to bust your ass, and you're going to have to work 5 days a week, maybe 6 days a week, like 12 hours a day. Like that's the startup environment. That's what you're signing up for. They had unlimited PTO. They got rid of PTO, and they implemented mandatory vacation periods to curb employee burnout. That happens a lot in the startup environments. You got to work long hours. You're sort of on call. You have to fix things, and you might not make as much money, but you get equity in the company, and the equity, in theory, can become more valuable once the company goes public. I mean, even like all the NVIDIA employees, like a lot of NVIDIA has a problem right now. This is super off topic, but NVIDIA has a problem right now where they're losing a lot of their top talent because all their stock options are so valuable that they're like, well, I'm worth $50 million now. Why am I still working? Which is a good problem to have if you work for a company and you get paid, a good salary, and then you also get equity on top of that. These people are like, why the fuck am I working right now? I'm worth $40-50 million. I could retire right now. I'm in my mid to late 30s. Like, I don't have to work anymore. So why would I work 60 hours a week, 70 hours a week, in tech? Like, it doesn't make any sense, right? So, NVIDIA is actually losing people right now because of that. But anyway, I digress. I want to get back to Bolt Financial. So Bolt recently was in the news, not so much for their, poor financial standing and some of the cuts they're making. Of course, that was in the headlines a little while back, but more recently they were in the news because the CEO came out and said that they decided to fully let go of the HR department because the HR department was creating problems that didn't exist. And he said, and I quote, "Those problems disappeared when I let them go." I think that is pretty accurate because HR is so ridiculous with certain things. Obviously, of course, you have to protect employee rights and you don't want anyone's rights to be violated. Obviously, that goes without saying. But HR sometimes, like I know people personally that treat HR like they're your best friend and they're going to help you. It's like, no, they're really just there to protect the company from liability. Because if there's something that happens in the workplace and you report it and they don't take action or they don't handle things correctly according to the procedure, it opens them up to litigation. So HR is not your friend. Like, I'll be the first to fucking tell you that.
For a peacetime CEO, it's very different than when you're a wartime CEO.
Mm.
There's two entirely different ways to operate, and I feel like a lot of our team was hired more under peacetime, and now we're at wartime. And, we had an HR team, right? And that HR team was creating problems
Mhm.
that didn't exist.
And in what regard?
And those problems disappeared when I let them go.
Real. This is
Yes.
something you will never ever hear
Yeah.
at any other company. So thank you so much for sharing that, Ryan.
We got rid of
how-
our HR team.
Why? Why did you
We-
get rid of your HR
We
team?
replaced it with a couple person people ops team,
Huh.
which was meant to just streamline people operations.
Okay.
But
You do realize you're talking to a room of HR leaders.
That's why-
they're very, very curious.
that's why I preface
Yeah.
multiple times. Reading the room, I can't say that I would advise the same in a large company, but we're back in startup mode again. And those HR professionals have really important insights
Yeah.
when you're in a peacetime and when you're at a larger company. But we're a remote company. It's
Mhm.
not like a lot of the potential issues that you would have in a workplace don't really exist because you're not in the same room as somebody,
Right.
right? So obviously you still need to go through harassment training and certain trainings that are important, and there's still someone to go to if you need to report something. We still have those lines of communication, but we need a group of people who are very oriented around getting things done.
Yeah.
And there was just a culture of not getting things done
Yeah.
and complaining a lot
Yeah.
that is not going to work when we're 100 people.
All right, so here's another story I want to get into that involves JP Morgan. And JP Morgan has been in the headlines for the wrong reasons lately, allegedly helping Jeffrey Epstein do his personal banking and moving money for him and his related corporations, between the relationship between the MD and the analyst. We've all known about that and seen the memes and some of the things that have come out about that. But this is a more recent story that just broke. There was a Wall Street arbitration panel that ordered JP Morgan to pay a former broker $4.25 million, and he won a wrongful termination and defamation lawsuit because the bank, JP Morgan, fired him for expensing a $642.50 deli platter for his clients. They fired this guy in June of 2024 for violating the firm's business hospitality policy after he submitted an expense for $642.50 for a deli platter from a gathering at his home. The guy's attorney argued that the gathering was a pre-approved business meeting, not a Super Bowl party. So this must have happened in February. I believe it's usually the first Sunday in February is the Super Bowl, if I'm not mistaken. So it must have happened around that time. So they allege that he expensed a deli platter for a Super Bowl party, but it was for his clients. And he also had the clients at his house. That's crazy. He had originally sought up to $30 million in compensatory and punitive damages for reputational and financial injury. Following his dismissal, he successfully transferred his registration to Wells Fargo Advisors in July 2024, where the guy continues to work there and he's a senior advisor. Okay, that's great. But I mean, can you imagine? You go and you work for this bank, you're on the wealth management side, you're generating new business. You know, the grid isn't amazing. The grid's like 50% or like 45%. So most of the money you bring in from managing client assets, assuming you're charging a fee of 1% or, you know, fee of AUM, 55 cents for every dollar you bring in is going to the wirehouse. It's going to JP Morgan in this case, right? And then they fucking shit can you because you expense a deli platter for a client gathering at your house. I mean, that's crazy. And he won. He obviously won because FINRA came out. It says the 3-member FINRA panel awarded such and such guy $4.25 million in compensatory damages. The panel also ruled the termination notice on his public record was defamatory and ordered it changed to voluntary. So there you go. And what I would say to that is what I saw some of the people on Twitter or X saying to it. It's like, Lord, I have seen what you've done for others. I don't even really know what to say. I mean, if you're this guy, right, you own your book, you moved to Wells, you just got paid $4 million now. I mean, do you just retire? Like, what do you do? I think for bodily harm, you don't pay taxes if you sue someone and you're awarded money. Like if someone beat the crap out of you and you sued them for like 5 million and you ended up winning and you get the 5 million from the person. I don't think that's subject to federal income taxes, if I'm not mistaken. But in the case of something like this, I mean, is it subject to federal income taxes? I would imagine the legal fees you've accrued, they have to be tax deductible, right? I mean, I would think. Now, the other story I want to get into, which is the more salacious one that everyone knows about, and it had to deal with their, I believe, JP Morgan's leveraged finance team, if I'm not mistaken. There was a woman on the team, and there was this guy that was on, you know, he's a banker or whatever on the team. He alleged that he was like a sex slave, basically, which these, you know, everything in the details was like kind of insane. You know, he alleged that she was like calling her tits cannons and all this stuff. It was pretty wacky. And something about fish head wife or whatever. It was like pretty wild shit, right? Like crazy allegations about how she was abusive towards him and everything like that. So this ex-banker is suing JP Morgan for all the allegations I just mentioned, right? And this is all alleged, of course, because it's ongoing. So he's suing JP Morgan. And before the story went public, JP Morgan offered him $1 million. And now it's come out in the news that allegedly this guy's making all this shit up. So if he's making all this shit up, right? Is he out of his fucking mind? They offer you $1 million. You know you made all these stories up, allegedly. Why wouldn't you just take the payoff? I don't even understand that. They said he was using bereavement time and his dad passed away, but his dad didn't pass away and they were able to prove it because of like photos on Facebook or something like that. So this guy's attorney, who previously represented Jeffrey Epstein accusers, filed a consent to be discharged as the attorney for the ex-banker just hours before they were set to appear in court on Tuesday. So the documents revealed the ex-banker did not have a new lawyer lined up and represented himself until he decides to find a new attorney. Buddy's got to break out that fucking ChatGPT lawyer. He better call Saul, son. Buddy needs to call Saul Goodman. That shit is crazy. Oh man. I guess one of the other things I can get into a little bit is that the NY Fed came out and said right now we're in a K-shaped economy. One thing is trending upward, and another portion of the K is like trending downward. Like when people cite the economy and they look at the US GDP, consumer expenditure, and it's really discretionary consumer expenditure, accounts for most of US GDP growth. So anytime you hear people say like, oh, well, GDP is up and spending's up and all this, yeah, that's technically true, but it's coming from like guys like Bezos and guys like Ken Griffin and a lot of these other cats like Zuckerberg with his yacht and all these other people just buying things they don't really need that are very expensive. But if you look at the average person and you look at median household income and you look at their situation, I mean, the average American is in credit card debt, right? Like credit card debt is at an all-time high, student loan debt all-time high. Like all this consumer debt, car loans, all consumer debt is basically at an all-time high. So the average person's living hand to mouth. So this K-shaped economy analogy, people have been saying for years. I've been saying it since COVID. I mean, I think I'm vindicated now because the NY Fed, New York Fed, meaning the New York Federal Reserve, finally came out and said, hey, by the way, we're in a K-shaped economy. I mean, I've been saying this since 2021. So, you know, I've been saying this for 5 years and people thought I was nuts. And it's like, no, I actually see it because I'm, you know, I'm in a spot where it's like, I see it where I have a lot of friends and people I know personally that make a shitload of money. And then I have a lot of friends that don't make any money. And it's like my friends that are making a shitload of money are spending more. They're going on more vacations. They're buying more like gaudy, you know, unnecessary, frivolous purchases with discretionary funds. And then my friends on the other side of it, like they're struggling, like they're living hand to mouth and should be too concerned. I think the main concern is just focus on marketability, focus on going into a field where there's good job growth. Don't go into a dead end field. I think that's super important. Optionality is super important. Like go to college and you study electrical engineering. Like there always is going to be a need for electrical engineers, right? I think it's like STEM or bust, honestly. STEM or bust is a pretty good way to operate. Finance isn't bad. I don't think accounting is bad. Accounting's cool because you could own your own book. Like you could have your own business, you know. You could work at a firm, work at a public accounting firm for 2 years to get the tenure requirement, pass the CPA exam. You know, once you become a CPA, then you could go private or you could have your own shop. And, you know, I know some people, like the average person, maybe necessarily doesn't so much need an accountant because they could just use fucking TurboTax. And that's existed. Like self-preparation tax services and software has existed for like 15 years at this point now, maybe even more than that. So the average person might not really need an accountant, but like higher net worth people, they're going to want to use an accountant. They're not going to want to use fucking Chat GPT to do their taxes, you know. Average person could use Chat GPT because they're just taking the standard deduction. They're not itemizing. They don't even know what itemizing is. They have like no deductions, right? So it really doesn't matter. It's like you have to just focus on getting into something that's more marketable. I would say don't listen to the advice from people that have been around a lot longer than you. There is some wisdom in listening to people older than you, obviously. I don't have all the answers. I don't pretend to have all the answers. There's some good timeless advice, right? Like don't do drugs, don't drink, don't do anything stupid. If your friend jumped off a bridge, would you jump off with him? Like, yeah, that's timeless advice. That's great advice, right? Obviously, that goes without saying. That's like an IQ test, basically, right? Don't drink and drive. Like these are all things that are objectively good that everyone agrees with. Try not to eat as much junk food, you know, work out every day, exercise every day. Objective truths that everyone can agree are true. But the idea of like, oh, just go to college and, you know, follow your dreams and you'll figure it out. It's like, what if your dream is to go to college and study like fucking puppetry or like underwater basket weaving? Bro, really? Where's the fucking job growth in that field? There is none. What are you gonna do? What the fuck are you gonna do? Or, I mean, we need teachers and teachers are severely underpaid, but like the whole bureaucratic structure with teachers is that teachers don't make any money because there are all these different middle managers and superintendents and principals and assistant principals. Like there's all these fucking middle managers. It's inefficient because it's governmental, right? Everything governmental is inherently inefficient because there's no incentive to be efficient. And if there's no incentive to be efficient, you're not going to be efficient. It's very simple. even teachers, like you go to school for how many years? And it's like you start teaching, you're making like fucking $60,000 a year. Like that sucks. That's not anything. You know, you got to get into a field where there's good job growth. You can make a lot of money. You have to be able to love the work. And what I'll say is that people always say, "Oh, do what you love. You'll never work a day in your life." I think that's mostly true, but the only pushback I have is like it's not always going to be sunshine and rainbows though. It's not always going to be like every day you wake up, you tap dance to work. There are going to be days you wake up, you feel like shit, you don't want to go to work. You're going to get fucking aggravated at work. You're going to be dealing with people that fucking annoy the shit out of you. That's life. I mean, you're just going to have to do things you don't want to do some of the time. You can't always do what you want to do because then you wouldn't enjoy it as much, right? If you go to YouTube or you go to X and you watch the visual, I overlay the gameplay because I play video games when I get bored. I love playing video games, but if I played video games 12 hours a day every day, I wouldn't want to play video games. I wouldn't look forward to it. I wouldn't enjoy it. So it's the fact that you can't do something all the time is what makes it enjoyable, right? If you were able to eat at a 5-star restaurant every single fucking night, you wouldn't enjoy it as much. Like after a year, you'll be like, oh, fuck this. I don't even want to eat at this place anymore. You just wouldn't enjoy it. It's almost there's this psychological concept where it's described, it's called the hedonic treadmill. And it's this idea that like no matter how happy you become because of your standard of living being raised, or because of all these different external factors of things changing positively in your life, you go from being content to super happy because there's like a major positive shift in your life, to then that becomes the new normal, and then your dopamine resets and comes back down to reality, and reality is like just baseline contentment. So it's the idea that things can swing super positively and you become the happiest person ever, or things can swing super negatively and you're like the ultimate Debbie Downer. And at some point over a period of time, you just revert back to, baseline contentness, which is pretty interesting. So that's called the hedonic treadmill. If you guys want to read more about that. But anyway, my tangent's over. What I really just wanted to tell you guys is like, just focus on the important things, work out, eat clean, focus on getting your money right, because unfortunately money is a big motivating factor. It's super important for people to get ahead. It's just the system. It's just the world we live in. You can't fight it. You can only focus on where you can control, right? So to be able to change things and for everyone to hold hands and sing Kumbaya, you would need so many people to buy in that it is not feasible. It is not possible, right? So don't fight that battle. It's not a battle worth fighting. You're going to waste your time. Most people don't agree with you. Focus on what you can control. Focus on being well spoken, focus on being personable and highly sociable. People are social creatures. If you're very good at speaking to people and you're friendly and you can make people laugh or you can make people smile, like by just coming out and saying something really funny, maybe that's not over the top and offensive, but something witty that people will appreciate, they'll like you more for it. A lot of times these relationships or how things work out in business, it's like people want to do business with you or interact with you, not even because you have the best product or service or because you're the best employee that they're like, oh, this guy's amazing, I want to hire him. People want to hire you because you're personable and you have skills and what you can bring to the table. That's super important. But a lot of times people just want to spend time with other people they like. That's a huge thing. I mean, I can't tell you how many stories I hear from my personal friends where it's like they're doing business with other people and it's like, well, I like this person, I want to do business with him or her, she's a really good person. I don't know that I'm getting the best deal, but I really like this person. I think over time there's someone that I want in my circle, there's someone I want in my network. So just focus on that. Focus on being personable, focus on being well read, try to learn as much as possible. You're not going to have all the answers, accept the fact that you are going to fail at certain things. I feel like if I try to tackle everything at once, I don't really get as far. So what I like to do is every month is a new beginning. And every month I try to tackle something new that I haven't done before. And I used to do this for the longest time. At this point now, I'm like, okay, I feel really comfortable because I have all these different ventures and all these different balls that I'm juggling that it's very hard to keep track of everything. So I don't really do this as much. But in the past, what I would do is every month would be a new beginning. It would be a new challenge. So how people look at January 1st, they're like, okay, new year, new me. Your mentality, and this might work for some people, maybe not for others. Like I said, I don't have all the answers, but it's worth trying. I mean, it really is. So maybe instead of new year, new me, new month, new me. So if you want to get into reading, like read every day for a month, see how you feel. If you're like, okay, this is a waste of time, like I'm not really learning anything, not accomplishing anything, okay, then the next month you try something else. Maybe you say, okay, I want to start reading from June 1st through June 30th. You read every day. You read, whatever, 15, 25 pages a day. You get through a couple of books. Maybe you get through like 2 books or something like that. And then you decide, oh, you know what? Reading isn't for me. I want to do I want to work out. I want to get in better shape. I used to be in better shape when I was younger. So, okay, July, you do gym, maybe 3-4 times a week, or you go walking or something, right? Because maybe walking is an easier path for you to work out and get in the habit of working out. So you go, okay, I'm going to walk like 5 minutes a day or 15 minutes a day every day for a month. And then see how you feel. Oh, I really liked walking. I want to incorporate that into my routine. It helps my creative process. I'm getting in better shape. I'm losing weight. I feel better. I wake up with more energy. Okay, so now you keep the walking, but you drop the reading. Now August comes around. Oh, I want to do keto. Okay, I do keto for 30 days. August 1st through the end of the month, I'm eating keto. I'm doing it clean. Okay, well, keto is good, but I feel a little lethargic, so I don't want to do keto. Okay, then you don't do keto. And then you just keep trying new things. That's what I would want to tell you guys. And I think that's super important. So I know at this point I'm rambling, but it's all super important shit that I wish someone had sat me down and told me when I was younger. And if you could find value in even 1% of the things that I said today, or amusement, whether it's the Ferrari story, the Bolt story, the 2 JP Morgan stories, or just me rambling here at the end of the podcast, I mean, hopefully you can find some value in anything that I'm saying. Even if I gave you one nugget, that's enough. That is what I will leave you guys with. This was a good short week, but I hope next week is an even better week. All right, take care, and hopefully we get some better weather soon. This weather's been fucking dog shit. Take care, everyone. Peace out.
He streams from his mansion in West Hollywood, preaching revolution from his neighborhood, sipping lattes, designer fit, Marxist on the screen, the most expensive socialist you have ever seen.
March 2026, he hopped on a plane
Posted, I'm going to Cuba
for the clout and fame. 650 delegates, coat pink by his side.
Western lady car convoy, what a wild ride.
Cleared it with old fact, or so he claimed.
Now the treasury's calling, you better explain.
Financial records, logistics, every diem cent. That's what happens when your A-trip pays the rent.
Subpoena dance,
Subpoena dance,
Twitch money funding your communist stance. Fly to Havana on your comrades' dime. Now all facts knocking, brother, that's the crime. Subpoena dance, the proletariat king in his designer pants. You say to eat the rich, but you are the rich. Now do
subpoena the rent. Standing next to Singham's wife in a Hannah Square.
Palestinian scarf, very cheap, very aware.
Called a Castro indictment, a sham on stream.
Meanwhile, the feds are building up their team. Treasury, justice, and state on the case.
40 Americans sweating, he's got a straight face.
Posts on X, they criminalize feeding the poor while clearing his ring light before the next encore.
But a famine king or sanctions dodge.
The government's asking, that's a lot to acknowledge.
Financial records, logistics, every diem cent. Socialism's fine till you gotta pay the rent. Subpoena dance, subpoena dance.
Twitch money funding your communist stance. Fly to Havana on your comrades' dime.
Now all the facts knocking, brother, that's the crime. Subpoena dance,
The proletariat king in his designer pants. Swinging at the rich, but you are the rich. Now do the subpoena dance. I checked with the VAC before I went. Did you go? 40 people under federal investigation.
Touch grass, comrade, touch grass. Support